Every morning before school started, I would take a shower. And by take a shower, I mean that there would be water running and I may or may not have washed my hair and I may or may not have actually, used soap. And the annoying thing is that I get out of the shower and my mom would look at me and say, "Your hair looks dirty, go clean it." And I honestly didn't believe her. You go, "You green. You have green on your neck." I didn't believe her that anybody else could see it. I didn't believe her that everybody else could smell my stink. And the reason why I didn't believe her is because a few times she was wrong. A few times I actually did legitimately use shampoo and shampoo my hair, and she just sort of assumed that I didn't and said, "You didn't." I'm like, I did. And so I started to test. Can she actually tell the difference? Sometimes she'd say, "Go and wash your hair again." So I'd go and just wet it under the sink, and then she'd be like, "Okay." So because of that, I didn't really believe that she could tell. Now, obviously she could, and I did sort of stink, and I learned later on in life, when I'm in the subway or when I'm on the bus or something, you sit next to that stinky person, you're like, "Dude, take a shower. Dear Lord, wow, you smell horrid." But for me, the issue was never that I couldn't do hygiene. It's A, I didn't consider it a high enough priority, and B, it was just that I didn't believe that actually anybody could tell the difference. Like, I didn't see why it was a benefit to me, and I couldn't tell that anybody noticed. And so what changed was seeing that it was enough benefit to me and noticing that other people do notice through few people telling me certain things, as well as just having experiences with other people. Like, when I really truly got it was when I realized that anything I did, people could see. Like, if I start picking my ear or something like that, it's not like, let me hide it, no one's gonna see it. No, people are watching, they can see. And if you don't take a shower for a few days, you do stink. And if you don't brush your teeth and floss, you will go to the dentist and you will get a giant dentist bill because they have to extract a cavity or two. So after paying for that, it was like, okay, maybe I should start getting this stuff going. So today's episode is all about hygiene and the hygiene struggle. We're going to talk about how I sort of actually learned to do hygiene and how you can end the hygiene struggle. That means, how do you get someone with Asperger's to take a shower, brush their hair, brush their teeth, deodorant, not be stinky, and just maintain general health? There are certain things that work and there are certain things that don't. And it's going to be all under the framework of invitation and influence, understanding the mechanics, and then troubleshooting. So that is what we're going to talk about today. And then we'll be right back and get right to it.
My name is Lynn. I've been a part of the Asperger Experts Parent Support Group for the last year. I'm a happy customer of many wonderful AE videos and online courses. I just always look forward to the next course offering because it always, I consider it adding to my toolbox of skills and knowledge. The parent support group is really an amazing group of parents. Anybody can ask a question, and you're almost guaranteed a very quick response from caring and supportive parents. The ideas and the suggestions that come out of that group are really just high quality. And there's a number of parents too that also have been diagnosed with Asperger's. And they have a very unique way of looking at things that help us to understand our children better and why some approaches might work better than others. So again, it's just an amazing group of parents. I've gotten a lot of just positive energy from being part of that parent support group. And a couple of things that if you ask me what the most important thing is for parents to know, it would be really understanding defense mode and the sensory funnel. Over and over again, I just come back to the defense mode and sensory funnel videos and really having a good understanding of that. A lot of parents will say, oh, it looks like my child is being lazy. I see them sitting at the computer a lot. But defense mode can really masquerade as other behavior. So a lot of times, if parents don't really understand what's going on inside of their children, it might just look like laziness or manipulative behavior. When in reality, your son or daughter might be experiencing a lot of anxiety or sensory overload or overwhelm. So once you really understand the sensory funnel and defense mode, then you can really truly begin to connect with your child and to also help them to help themselves and to help them move their lives forward and to really start living their lives. The other important thing that I have found is really framing your family culture as one of a team and making sure that your son or daughter feels like they're part of the team and existing within the family culture and not outside of the family culture. I think there's lots of things that parents can do to improve the family culture, such as establishing fun traditions that the child enjoys, playing games with the children, watching their favorite TV shows. If they like cooking, then you can cook together. If they like taking the dog for a walk, you can go on dog walks. But it's really just finding those things that your child enjoys and then making them part of your family traditions. And I think that that's something that brings out the best in everybody in the family. And absolutely, I would recommend AE, the course offerings, and the parent support group. I just appreciate all that you've done, and I appreciate all of the parents as well. Thank you.
So today we are talking about hygiene. Everything from brushing teeth, combing hair, taking a shower. Yes, somebody was mentioning in the comments, washing hands. And really how to help all of that stuff happen. We're going to use the framework of invitation and influence, understanding, mechanics, and troubleshooting to describe how of this works. But before we do that, I want to say hi to all you beautiful people here on Facebook. So let me know where you are from. Say hi. I always love seeing everybody from around the world that always tunes into these things. It's pretty darn awesome how we get people from all around the world. So hello, Molly. Hello, Virginia. Hello, Robin. Molly says that water soothes my son. We got someone from Alabama and Pennsylvania. Seattle, Paula, yeah, represent. Toledo, Ohio. California. Kentucky, Los Angeles. Cool. What else we got here? Oklahoma. And more from Alabama. Boston. We were just in Boston in March. I love Boston. Boston's cool. My brother lives in Boston. Simi Valley. Minnesota, New Orleans. North Carolina. Texas. Australia. Okay, Deb, you went farther so far. Australia, it wins. At that point, I sort of have to calculate. Like, is New Zealand like technically further, or you have to do like the whole like other side of the Earth thing going on? Somebody is asking. Claire is asking, can you do some more videos that speak to the child adult? Claire, we have a great course on that. It is called Thrive, and you can get it at aspergerexperts.com/thrive. So if you're looking for courses or videos for people with Asperger's, then aspergerexperts.com/thrive is where you'll want to go. Louisiana, New York City, UK. Yeah. And Molly says, yes, Danny's courses are awesome. Why, thank you, Molly. So today we're talking about hygiene and all of the fun hygiene things. Let's break this down. Nobody wakes up and says, I'd sure like to be sick today. They want to be healthy. So if we start from those two assumptions, they want to actually be healthy and they have the capability, then we go, okay, well, what's the problem here? And forgive me, I'm about to sneeze. Don't you hate that when you're like, I meant to sneeze soon? There we go. So if they have the capability and they want to be healthy, the disconnect is it's not high enough on their priority list, and they don't understand actually why it is useful for them to do so. Like, I want to be healthy. Sure, I don't want to get cavities and all that stuff. You ask somebody, do you want to get cavities? They go, of course not. But they don't have the distinction and the actual understanding of brushing teeth equals no cavities. It is not this embedded thing. Normally you get that through listening to other people and believing them, but if you're in defense mode, that causes a whole bunch of other issues where you stop believing in people and trusting them. So if I say, hey, you brushing teeth is going to have you have less cavities, I might not actually trust you entirely on that. So first, it starts with invitation and influence. Let's define influence first, though. Influence is when you look up the etymology of it, it means any outpouring of energy that produces effect. That's any outpouring of energy that produces effect. So what happens is when you are helping somebody with hygiene, your job is to invite them and influence them. Any outpouring of energy that produces effect. That does not mean manipulation, control, getting, forcing, anything else. That means helping them to understand why it is important for them to do hygiene. So that leads us to step 2, the understanding of it. Understanding why should you hygiene? Why is that a thing that you should actually do? Like when you really realize, okay, why should you brush your teeth? Well, technically, if you eat a certain way, you don't need to. The reason why we need to brush our teeth is because in the Western world, at least, we eat a diet that is high in starches, and starches have a lot of sugar, which then sticks to the teeth and causes all sorts of issues and basically rotting and stuff. So we brush our teeth to prevent that from sticking a lot. If you eat a diet that is low in carbs and is actually, just like protein and nuts and vegetables and stuff, you don't actually need to brush your teeth as often. So you think about that and you go, oh, okay. And you help people with Asperger's understand that and they go, wow, okay, so my choice is either change my diet or start brushing my teeth or my teeth will rot. Like, I get it now. Really what it comes down to is they lack understanding. You don't need to force them. You don't need to manipulate them. You need to invite them. And you need to help them gain understanding of why you should actually do the thing. Like, why should you wash your hands? Oh, because it kills the germs and you feel better. But then you go, okay, but the FDA has actually started to say that antibacterial soaps are a bad thing, so we're going to use soaps without all the antibacterial killing powers. Oh, okay, that makes sense now. Like, that was my main hang-up to washing my hands was, but the bacteria can actually be good, and the FDA is actually agreeing with me now. So that means that you use the new soaps, which are actually already on the market, and then that doesn't be a problem, and you can wash your hands. It's a lack of understanding. And then it's just understanding the mechanics of, like, how long do you need to actually wash your hands for in order to kill the germs? How often do you need to, wash yourself to not feel stinky? Once you understand the actual science of it, and you help someone with Asperger's understand the actual science of it, then it gets easier. If you don't understand the actual science of it, this is time to Google. Do research. Invite them to find out why with you. You go, literally, I honestly don't know the science of it. Let's figure it out together. And if you need help with that, we are coming out with an entire hygiene course very soon. So if you aren't on our email list yet, there's a link right above this video in the little description. Join our email list. We will send you a link to that course. So, invitation and influence. Inviting them into saying, let's figure out how to do this together. Understanding, why should you actually do hygiene? What is the science, the mechanics? How do you actually do it? And then the troubleshooting. And this is when people say, like, I don't like taking a shower. My son doesn't like taking a shower. And what you find out is that they don't like feeling cold after they step out of the shower, so you negate that by having a warm blanket there, or a warm towel, or maybe it's the pressure of the shower is too hard, so you change the shower head to a softer pressure. When you figure out what the actual specific issue is, instead of a blanket statement of, my son doesn't brush his teeth, guarantee you there are certain circumstances where he will, and it's just figuring out what is the reasons why he doesn't want to. So, invitation and influence, understanding, mechanics, and then troubleshooting in that order. You don't try and skip straight to troubleshooting and go, how do I fix this? How do I help my son to do this? It doesn't work that way. So that is how you do hygiene. We will be right back in just a second, and we're going to take some questions from y'all. So put your questions in the comments section, and we will be right back and answering those questions all about hygiene and really anything else Asperger's related. So see you in a sec. I remember growing up and not really having many friends, wanting friends, but not having many friends simply because I didn't know how to be social with people.
My name is Heather. I'm the COO here at Asperger Experts, and I'm a mom. My son was diagnosed with Asperger's a little more than a year ago, and he's amazing. I'm trying to raise a productive, independent, self-supporting person. I need support to do that. I can't do it by myself.
So welcome back. Today we are talking about hygiene, and it is time to answer some questions. So let's go over to the Facebook comments here. Maria says, what about bathing? My daughter is 12 and autism, refuses to take a bath unless I force her, and her teeth could be a sensory issue with water. I'm concerned about her. Maria, I would use the framework that we're talking about. Figure out, like, what is it? Does she understand why it's important to take a bath? Does she understand, like, what's going on here? Or is it just you should take a bath and you need to force her and she doesn't actually understand what's going on? And then I would troubleshoot and figure out, what is it about it that she doesn't like? Is it the water temperature? Is it a sensation thing? Is there another way that she could do it? Like, when you strip it down to its bare necessities, she could literally take a sponge bath if she wants to. You know, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, you still get clean. And it's still very functional. And some would argue it actually saves a lot of water. So I would troubleshoot and figure out what's going on from there. Cindy says, sounds like we need to give facts. That is absolutely true. You do. Just came home from the dentist about his teeth and trouble brushing. Yeah, that was like something that was with me every single time I went to the dentist was, hey, you're not brushing your teeth long. I know. And I never really connected the dots. I never really got it until it was like, oh, you mean that if I like brush my teeth then I feel better? Somebody was saying sort of presumptuously, get with the times, talk about autism spectrum disorder rather than Asperger's. And honestly, no. Everybody knows what Asperger's means, so no, I will not. Hi, Mom. My mom's going, hi, I'm Danny's mom. I wish we had 80 plus many years ago. Many hygiene issues growing up, but it can get better. Hi, Mom. Yes, thank you for joining. Let's see. Jen says, turns out my daughter didn't like the flavor of the toothpaste. With other things like deodorant and shaving her legs, she doesn't see it as priority. Pretty much exactly what I've been saying. It's hit and miss depending on what time she's going on in her life. Do you have suggestions for prioritizing hygiene? Explaining it is just as important as being on time. It's really a stress level thing, right? Like, if you have a certain capacity, like this water bottle is your capacity for the day. And let's say that you already filled up this much, so you only have this much capacity left. Suddenly, a lot of things that you want to go out the window, like you just can't. Somebody on our Facebook group today was using the example of spoons, and they said, putting on underwear today took up half of my spoons. And sometimes that's just the day, is you'd like to, but just putting on clothes already takes up way too much amount of time, and you literally have zero capacity for everything else. The more capacity you have, the more you'll do things, and eventually hygiene will be on that list. You go, okay, it's time to hygiene. Like, there's certain things where it's just like, I wasn't feeling too great last night because I had food poisoning. Ended up feeling a lot better, but like there was like foil on the floor and stuff because I was eating an apple and then covered it in foil. But like picking stuff up off the floor was just not a high priority for me at that moment because limited capacity. The greater you expand your capacity, the more emotionally available you are, the easier it is to do more things. And you do that through getting out of defense mode. So the days where she is less stressed, it sounds like, are the days in which she is able to do more hygiene things. Like for me, I always go home and spend like an hour just like chilling and then like watch a movie or hang out or watch Netflix and stuff. People go, how do you have time to do all this stuff? And it's just like, I take time for me. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have a hot tub in my building, and I use that thing a lot because I just like, let's just relax, because, you know, this is what I do for a living, and it can be stressful at times. My 7-year-old says he is being bullied at school. When I ask him what happens, he's not able to describe what happens. How do I get him to be more descriptive? Sarah, he may not actually have the words for what is happening. You may need to say, is it like this or is it like this, and give him specific examples. You may also need to ask the teachers. You may need to figure out what is going on from other sources, because he may strictly just not have the words yet. So you may need to help him describe what is going on. I was at a therapist once, and they do somatic experiencing, which I highly recommend. Traumahealing.org is the website for that. But she had like a huge piece of paper with all these descriptive words: squishy, gooey, sticky, warm, soft. Just so when you're describing your own emotional states, you can look to her list and say, okay, what works best? Like, a lot of the times when you're describing something, you inherently know what it is, but it's not in English. It's just sort of like it's felt. So you need to find the right English word to mean, oh, yes, that. And sometimes that's hard. Mr. James, hello. Oh, man, sounds familiar with the dentist. I think I'd feel similar to shower. I did try and still had cavities. Also just forgot a lot, though I meant to do it. Yeah. For me, it's just establishing that routine. Like, I get in the shower, and then basically I have an assembly line that goes down the sink, where like I get in the shower, I get out of the shower, I go pee, and then the floss is right there, and then next to that is the toothbrush and toothpaste, and then next to that is the deodorant, and then I go out of the bathroom. So it's like, okay, just down the line, and it's just a habit, so much so that if I take a shower in the evening and stuff, I'll just do the whole routine again and go, wait, why am I doing this again? It's just like, it's programmed into me now. You get out of the shower and then you just run down the routine. And establishing that routine, it makes it so much easier, because then it's not a matter of priorities. It's just something that I just sort of do. Like, I don't even need to think about it at all. Once my daughter's in the shower, it's fine. It's getting her to go into the shower. So, Kat, what I would do is I would just invite her into the shower instead of forcing her into the shower. Say, look, you obviously know that everything's fine when you get in the shower. Would you like to take it an hour and half an hour? You go, okay, take it in half an hour. And so let's say now it's a half an hour later, and I don't want to go in the shower. It's like, here, just try it. How about this? Get in the shower. If you don't like it, you are free to get out at any point. There is no obligation here. Like, just try it, because every other time you said you like it. So if you don't want to, you can get right out. But let's try getting in, okay? And then they stay in. So invite, never coerce. I give my kid the toothbrush when he's in the shower. He likes that better because it's two things at once, but to him it's just one. Yeah. That totally works. Like, you could, in theory, do everything but deodorant in the shower, because why not? You know, there's nothing wrong with that. My son seems to hate his way his hair scalp feels after washing it. Any tips? Also, he takes so long in the shower, he actually forgets to actually wash. Melissa, there are things like dry shampoos and stuff. It also may be a scalp issue caused by dandruff, which is caused by diet. So I would look into that as well. Jen says, yes, exactly. You can tell how stressed she is by how she smells that day. Times of transition to routine life are usually times hygiene goes out the window. That's why adding more stress by nagging about hygiene rarely, ever, never works. Thank you. You are very welcome. And that's the truth, is control, manipulation, forcing, or adding stress flat out simply don't work and actually cause negative effects. Don't. Period. Ever. Like, the one issue of all issues that we see the parents and anybody making is control. I'm trying to control my kid and it doesn't work, so I'm going to try and control more. No. What they really mean is I'm really uncomfortable, so I think that by controlling other people, I can be less uncomfortable. But I'm going to continue to try and control other people, but why am I'm feeling more and more uncomfortable? It might not be because I'm not doing enough of it, so let me control and control and control and control and control, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and why isn't it working? I guess I just need to control more. Or, you could, trust them and not control. That's the answer. A lot of people go, but what if? It's like, you haven't tried it yet. Try it instead of going, what if? My son wants out of resource special ed class, but shuts down when pressure is put on him to complete schoolwork. He's currently passing all classes in resource advice. Sounds like that is a perfect time for responsibility agreement. In this case, cool. You can totally get out of resource class once you prove that you can do all of your homework outside of resource class, because then that proves that you don't need it. We're not just going to get you out of something if you need it, but if you can prove you don't need it anymore, by all means, we aren't going to do something you don't need, so then we'll get you out. And then that puts it into his court to say, okay, well, obviously, I can prove that I need this, or don't need this, or I actually do need this. Vicky says, my daughter will stay on the same clothes over the weekend for days, and then the summer winter breaks, and she can smell like a grown man with her VO. Sounds like she just needs to have a talk. Really go through the framework: invitation and influence, understanding the mechanics, and then troubleshooting. Why does she stay in the clothes all the time? And then you just talk to her and go from there. My son won't brush his hair. Rachel, honestly, I've just let your son not brush his hair, and eventually you'll figure out the tangles are really painful, and he'll maybe start to brushing his hair. Diane, Diane says, my 13-year-old son admitted today he can't really tell his hair needs shampooing. He doesn't feel the stringiness. That's honestly a lot of it. It's just a lack of awareness of I cannot tell. Beth says, what do you do with an 18-year-old who needs a lot of structure and direction? Repeat, says, I'm 18, I can do what I want. I'm 18, I can do what I want. You go, cool. You're totally 18. You can totally do what you want. But if you're going to live in my house, I expect certain things for the benefit of all, like not stinking. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to let you say that you can do it. But if you prove that you can't, then I'm going to help you. The responsibility agreement, again, go on our website, aspergerexperts.com, or I believe you can go to, let me make sure of this really quickly, but I believe that if you go to, wait a moment, it's loading. Yes, aspergerexperts.com/RA. If you just go to aspergerexperts.com/RA, you can get the responsibility agreement for $3. That is what's really, really going to help you there. Vicky says, my daughter complains about to go in when she is in, she'll stay in forever. Because when you're in the shower, it sort of sensory deprives you in an awesome way, and it's very, very relaxing. That's why I do baths, because I can still get the same sensation without, wasting tons of water. Cindy says, Danny, thank you for this. I've stopped telling my son what to do, and nagging stopped. Things are getting done now in his time. It's amazing how that happens, isn't it? Patty says, any idea on how to get a 20-year-old to be more independent about hygiene? If you tell him he had to shower or brush his teeth, he will do it, but if he goes days without showering, brush his teeth, no one tells him to. Responsibility agreement. Seriously, aspergerexperts.com/RA. That is the best advice I can give to you, because it's a structured format to say, look, I trust you, I'm going to let you do what you want, and the burden of proof is on you. If you prove through your lack of action that you cannot, then here's what will happen. And you lay it all out ahead of time so they are able to demonstrate, or not, that they are capable. Instead of saying, I don't believe you are, it puts it in their court to make that decision. Melissa says, my son hates to wash his hair. He cannot stand water to get in his eyes. We tried using swim goggles so much more. We use dry shampoo sometimes just so it doesn't smell. He's only 6. He doesn't like to brush his teeth either. We have him to compromise, of course, but how do you explain to 6 about the importance of hygiene? It's explaining to him about the importance of hygiene isn't going to be there. It's a sensory issue. And it's like explaining to someone the importance of staying in the room when there are nails on a chalkboard. I don't care. It's not going to happen. So really what you need to do is just find a way around that works for him. Find a compensation strategy that works for him. Maybe that's a bath and not getting water in his eyes. Maybe that's like, literally like doing the whole thing where you're at the hairdresser and you're like this, and then wash your hair and don't get any water in your eyes, and like putting the warm water over your head. That might be what you need to do. My son is 8 and is in stage of being embarrassed when he sees him nude. How can I make sure he washes every part of his body without invading his space? Really what I would say is I think a responsibility agreement would actually be great for him. It's like, look, here's the deal. Is you don't want me to see you naked. That's completely appropriate. I respect your privacy. I need to make sure as your parent that you are doing what needs to be done for hygiene. So if you can demonstrate to me on a regular, consistent basis, like, here's the deal. For the next month, I'll check once a week. And assuming that you're all good once a week, then I don't need to check anymore. And maybe I'll check once a month. And then I'll just trust you. But if you demonstrate that you can't, then, we'll move forward. Basically, and the whole idea here is letting them be in control of the demonstrating that they are capable. My son is 17 and still doesn't have his learner's license. Cool, I'm 26 and I still don't have mine. My friends laugh at me because I know how to drive a boat, but I don't know how to drive a car, and the first time I ever filled up gas was on my boat. Like, I don't see any inherent problem with that. I was told by a professional that people with hygiene issues don't value themselves, feel they're important, etc. That is complete BS. That's just bullshit. Like, flat out, ignore that. It's not that they don't value themselves. No. They may have sensory issues. Like, that guy or girl has really no idea what they're talking about. It's that is one of 1,000 different explanations. It could be that, or it could be that they don't like the smell of the soap or the way it feels, or that they have other priorities, or like, you can go down the line and just list infinite amount of things. And we honestly don't know unless an individual by individual case. To make a broad sweeping judgment, like, people that don't do hygiene don't value themselves is just incorrect and dangerous. And I don't understand why anybody would ever do that. That's like, the doctor's saying, he'll never learn to walk again and have a horrible life. It's like, you don't know that, so stop making people lose hope. Like, this is something that really pisses me off, because how dare you tell somebody that they cannot do something or that they are a certain way? You do not have that privilege. I will revoke that from you, and you do not get to do that. Ever. Cassie says, I'm a 22-year-old woman. I have trouble with independent living skills and personal hygiene. Any research for me on your website? Yes, Cassidy. I would ignore the independent skills and personal hygiene altogether, and I would focus on connecting with yourself and getting out of defense mode. You can learn more. There's a link in the description of this thing about defense mode. I would focus really on learning to connect with yourself and learning to trust yourself, and then you're going to get out of defense mode, and you'll find that those things just suddenly come easier. They just happen naturally. And it's sort of weird. You're like, why is this no longer a problem? I can just do this now. But it's really awesome. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a quick break. We will be right back, talk about a few more questions, answer some more questions. I'm going to tell you about a cool book I have been reading, and as well where we are coming to speak in the next little while. So if you want to continue to talk about hygiene, school, and hear our speaking schedule, stay with us. We will be right back. I would like to officially invite you to join us in person for a weekend workshop we call Deep into Defense Mode Live. The next dates are November 12th and 13th, 2016 in San Francisco, California, February 11th and 12th, 2017 in Orlando, Florida, and May 20th and 21st in Los Angeles, California, and that is 2017 as well. You can get more details and register at aspergerexperts.com/workshop. We only have 50 spots available for each location. And the reason why I love this is because this is my opportunity to meet you in person, to help you understand what it is to be in defense mode and how to get out. And really, coach some people, help some people, interact with some people, have lunch with some people, dance with some people. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about gaining new experiences and new tools. So if you are wondering what it's like to be a part of the DITM Live seminar, watch this.
I'm Ty Miller, and I came out here with my son Austin, who has Asperger's. And what I perceived what was going to happen was it was just going to be instructions directly to my son Austin on things he can do or needs to do to improve, to make his life easier, both socially, academically. But what I learned were the tools that I need to obviously earn more of his trust, but the tools I've learned are going to help him as well as myself. But the most important thing is, he lives with us. He's in of course, his home, our home. But I have learned some great tools that help me, that will in turn help him. And I see exactly how it's going to work. And this was a great seminar. I was pleased with everybody, and I highly suggest this to anyone, obviously with a child with Asperger's, but really it's just a great course for anybody. And that's it.
And welcome back. So today we're talking about all sorts of hygiene stuff, school motivations. It's been an interesting conversation so far. Wendy brought up a question over the break that says, my son is 14, he has Asperger's, I can't get him to do anything. Never goes to appointments and he's a school refuser, please, any ideas? The problem, you really need to change your entire paradigm, because the problem is that you're trying to get him to do stuff. Get implies control and manipulation. Instead, start trusting in him. Start believing in him. Say, look, I understand you're really scared. You're in defense mode. You're terrified. Let's work on this together. Instead of making him your adversary, work with him. Co-create with him. It's an entire mindset shift of, instead of force and control and stuff and getting him to, it's like, dude, you're scared. You realize honestly the stupidity of the system. So let's work together to figure it out. He's probably in defense mode. Go register for our defense mode webinar. If you go to learn about defense mode, it's aspergerexperts.com/free class. Register for the defense mode webinar. That's really the best thing that you can do. So, want to share with y'all a book I have been reading. It is called Free to Learn by, hold on one second, I need to grab the author name because Peter Gray, Free to Learn by Peter Gray. And I want to read you one paragraph from this because it'll sound familiar, I bet. All right. That meeting in the principal's office was the culmination of years of meetings and conferences at the school, at which my wife and I would hear the latest accounts of my son's misbehavior. His misbehavior was particularly disturbing to school personnel because it was not the usual kind of naughtiness that teachers had come to expect from exuberant boys confined against their will. It was more like planned rebellion. He would systematically and deliberately behave in ways contrary to the teacher's directions. When the teacher instructed students to solve arithmetic problems in a particular way, he would invent a different way to solve them. When it came time to learn about punctuation in capital letters, he would write like the poet E. Cummings, putting capitals and punctuation wherever he wanted to or not using them at all. When an assignment seemed pointless to him, he would say no, he would say so and refuse to do it. Sometimes, since it became increasingly frequent, he would, without permission, leave the classroom and, if not forcibly restrained, walk home. We eventually found a school for Scott that worked, a school as unlike school as you can imagine. A little later I'll tell you about it, and the worldwide educational movement it has inspired, but this book is not primarily about a particular school, it is about the human nature of education. That is Free to Learn by Peter Gray. I highly suggest reading it. It is a completely different paradigm of influence, of schooling, of life. It says, trust the system. Don't try and force. Like, if you can get any message from us here at Asperger Experts, is that force, manipulation, control never ever work. Getting them to is a recipe for suffering and failure. It just doesn't work. Trust, letting it happen, and yeah, that requires being in the uncomfortable feelings that sometimes come up, is such a better way. So, as I said before, we will be coming to San Francisco on November 12th and 13th. We will be in Orlando, Florida on February 11th and 12th, and believe me, there will be much Disney World happening for us beforehand. And May 20th and 21st in LA. So, if you'd like to join us for any of that, then you can go to aspergerexperts.com/workshop. There are only 50 spots available for each location, and we always sell out way ahead of time. In addition, on Saturday, I will be in Sioux City, Iowa, doing a one-day workshop, and you can get tickets for that at aspergerexperts.com/Iowa. And finally, we have 16 spots available for our 5-day retreat next summer, next July, and that is for Beyond Defense Mode. If you'd like to come hang out with us for 5 days, in-depth, 24/7, and really learn what it's like to change and do some deep work and grow, then you can email me, Danny at aspergerexperts.com, and I'll give you more details on that. So, we're going to take a few more questions, and then we will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific. That is 4 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. That's Wednesday. And to talk about different kinds of therapies and which therapies work and which therapies to completely avoid at all costs because they end up making everything worse. And you don't really want to spend money on things that make things worse. So, will I ever come to New Hampshire? I have no plans to come to New Hampshire, but that may change. Liza, Sioux City, what date? That is this Saturday, October, I think it's the 8th? Yeah, the 8th. Yeah, October 8th, aspergerexperts.com/Iowa. Any other plans to visit the South other than Florida? Not right now. Do you go all over the states, Angela? Sort of. Right now, we only plan to go to those locations. Just due to finances, it works better if we just do our stuff in-house. But we will be doing meetups soon that are worldwide. So there will be an Asperger Experts meetup group near you soon. If you want to join our email list, we will send you invitations to those when they get started. And those will be, yeah. All right. My 19-year-old started to stay with his dad. Since then, he's dropped out of community college and gave 50 pounds. Father's place has no boundaries. The short answer is Father's place needs boundaries, and until Father's place gets boundaries, nothing's going to change. Like, that's the answer. I mean, I'm sorry that there isn't a better answer, but that's really it. We'll also be in Europe. Yeah, so these are going to be worldwide meetups. So there will be in Europe, all over the place. Basically, anywhere anybody wants to volunteer to start a meetup group, we will have one. Note on toothpaste, because my son hates every toothpaste. Toothpaste gel. Instead of like the paste, try the gel. I like the gel a lot better than the paste, and it's different, and it works a lot better. So, yeah, try the gel. Or honestly, make your own toothpaste. Like, let him be in control of the entire process. Get some peppermint essential oil or something and Google it. There are many ways to make your own toothpaste. That's what I would do. So, Kat says, tomorrow is our IEP after finally finding out she's autistic. I wonder how the behavioral program, the punitive program. Yes, absolutely do that 100%. I wonder in school for autism that teaches schools for coping. Any advice? Good luck on finding a school. Like, I'm sorry, there aren't many. We plan on making one. Yes, I know everyone's very excited about that. It will be coming in the next, probably 3 or 4 years. But, yeah, punitive behavioral programs cause shame and behavioral mistrust and are not good. They work as well as shock therapy. Yes, that was actually a thing. Let's cattle prod people with Asperger's and autism because that'll make them feel better. Hey, if you read Neurotribes, you realize that was an actual therapy that people did. Oops. I have 2 kids with autism, very difficult. My 18-year-old son doesn't see the reason for anything. If he doesn't see a reason for anything, he won't do it. That is a good thing, honestly. I mean, honestly, the answer is you need to help him see a reason for it. That's it. There is no changing that. Help him see the reason for it. Work with it instead of against it. We have medicated only holistically, but now seeking medications. I'm nervous. One doctor wants to put him with Prozac, not happy with the results. Is that out of control? There's nothing inherently wrong with meds. They're great. Prozac has saved my life on several occasions. As long as you recognize them for what they are. It's like a stepping stool. It's a Band-Aid, right? Like, you don't want to just take Tylenol for the rest of your life and then never figure out why you actually have pain in the first place. You want to take Tylenol, by all means take the Tylenol, but then also figure out why are you in pain so much in the first place. You figure out that, and then you stop taking the Tylenol. The same type of idea applies. If you're anxious and you're angry or whatever, you take some meds to regulate that. You figure out why are you angry in the first place. You resolve that, then you can stop taking the meds. How do you get other children in the family to understand their sibling sees the world differently? Conversations, talking about it, helping them understand. I mean, it's really just conversations and then helping them understand. That's about it. All right, so we will be back tomorrow, 3 p.m., talking about different types of therapies, what types of therapies work, what types of therapies don't. So I will talk to you all then. You have a great day. Remember, you are creative, resourceful, and whole. And I will talk to you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific time. See you then. Bye.